Yeah, there is that. Absolutely. You know, you've told everyone you want to be a pro. This is what I want. This is who I am. It's your identity. And then next thing it's not.
Did you feel like a failure?
At times. But again, I was pretty comfortable with that decision I'd made, and I was comfortable within myself having made it. So, you know, the people I told who were good friends were like, yeah, okay, that's fine, mate. No worries.
Okay, let's kick this in the guts, eh?
Yeah, Rossi.
Kicking
Are you actually recording?
Yeah.
Start again.
What do you mean?
I wasn't ready.
We'll just go now.
tires, lighting fires. Let's get into it, mate.
Oh, you are going?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of TradeMutt's 120 Grit podcast, the podcast for the working class. We are lucky enough to have another very special guest this week, mature age electrician, former golf pro, and a bloke who's currently 9 months into 12 months of sobriety, Mr. Cameron Powell. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be on.
I thought you were going to lose your shit there a moment. You were having a little giggle. Eh?
Oh, it's just you two half-time comedians.
No, nothing like that, mate.
That's
Nothing
not
like
how
that.
it is. What did you say? He's 9 months, no, mature age electrician.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Just
bright
started
spark,
third year.
aren't you?
Good dad joke.
Stop it.
Well, we've got to set the scene. I suppose the reason we know Cam is through our office space here at the Mutt Hut and the electricians that we sublet off. Cam works for, so we're didn't have to travel far for this guest, which was lucky.
Yeah, I think our listeners, for anyone not watching this, needs to understand that Cam's walked in here without sideburns. Why didn't you put that in the intro?
If that's not enough reason for you to start watching this on video, then I don't know what is.
Oh, no, but he's got the headset on.
Everything's covering them up.
Bugger.
Well,
we'll get a picture out there of the no sideburns.
Righto.
yeah, we can do that. So, Cam, mate, thanks for your time.
No worries.
We're
Glad to be here, mate.
Yeah, well, it's the first tradie for 2020 to come on, so this is great.
Good.
Good to get an electrician on too. I can't think of any electricians we've had on. So
They're too busy not cleaning up after themselves to
that's
come on the
right.
show.
Yeah, that's right. Let's not open that can of worms too early.
I'll see you, boys.
So we got chatting to Cam when we first moved into this shed, and you have a very intriguing story.
It's different, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, well, it's
everyone,
individual.
Yeah, it is individual. You're an individual, aren't you? Very
Absolutely.
unique.
Yeah.
No, proud of you, mate. But no, it was around the golf. There was the golf stuff that really piqued our interest.
Definitely. And let's just dive straight into it. I suppose.
What better way?
What better way? So you're a local Brizzy boy, mate.
I am, yep.
Yep.
Born and bred.
Born and bred, River City, beautiful. And you always a sporty kid going through school?
Well, from a young age, yeah. Played a lot of sport when I was younger. Soccer, cricket, big into cricket. Used to love cricket. Played sort of club cricket up until school, and then once I got into school, I started playing more school cricket. Got in a couple of representative teams, but never that good.
Just a couple.
And then found golf when I was about 13, 14. I lived near Brisbane Golf Club, and started playing down there, and then would go down every weekend, and just absolutely fell in love with it. I've always been pretty competitive, and then there was a group of juniors there, and from that, just absolutely fell in love with the game. Every school holidays, Mum would drop me there at 6 a.m. and pick me up at 6 p.m. We had a good little crew, and we'd just play, practice, go and look for balls and play around. It was great fun. So that was the beginning for me.
It's an expensive little hobby.
It's not as a junior. As a junior, it's quite cheap. I think membership was about $350 a year.
Yeah, right.
Once you start getting to adult, age groups, and
Yeah.
that's when it starts getting a lot.
What was it about golf that you were so, hooked on? What was it?
I think because it was an individual game, you're accountable for everything you did. There's no excuses. It all comes back to you. So you've got to be accountable. I found that the more I put into it, the better I got as well. So those holiday brackets, my first handicap was 19, and then the first school holidays was 8 weeks. I dropped to 14, and then I dropped from there to 8, and then in grade 12 I got down to about 4. But it was just seeing that big improvement for the more effort I put in.
Was that a goal setting type thing, or was that just you naturally getting better?
Just naturally getting better. I think the more I played, you just pick it up and get better and keep going with it.
Yeah, I suppose like for all the hacks out there that just get around on a weekend.
What about all the hacks in here?
Yeah, the hacks in here. Sorry, the 2 out of 3 hacks. Yeah, I suppose like how much golf were you playing when you're in high school? How
High school was mainly weekends only.
Yep.
It was only those holiday brackets. I'd maybe get out once every couple of months after school on a Friday. I had a friend who his dad used to take us out every now and again, so we'd go out there. But it was mainly just weekends. So I didn't play really seriously as a junior. It was more when I finished school that I really fell in love with it, as in wanted to make it a career path for me.
Were you watching golf? Like, were you a big fan on telly as well?
I was. At that time, Tiger was at his peak.
Mm.
Tiger Woods, for those golfers that don't know who Tiger is.
Who's he?
Yeah. So he was really in his peak from about 2000 really. Turned pro in 97, I think it was, or 95. I can't remember. But he was in his peak around those early 2000s. That's when I was getting into it. So I just, I'd be up at till really early in the morning. I get up early hours in the morning to go and watch him play in the Masters and all those kind of events. So I used to really enjoy watching him. He was a bit of
an idol.
Bit of an idol.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was the point where you decided, that you wanted to turn pro? I suppose when did that all go?
Well, I knew I wanted to follow that path as a professional when I was 19.
Okay.
I finished school, went to schoolies, and I worked at the fruit markets at Brizzy for 9 months. And then I thought, no, I want to play. I'm going to give a bit of time to this. I went to uni for about 4 weeks or something and thought I didn't really enjoy that.
Where'd you go to uni? What degree?
Sports management. I thought I'll stick in that sports line. And anyway, I didn't like it, so I pulled out of that and then just started playing golf full time.
So you made that decision. Did you tell everyone around you, like your parents? You're like, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, when I started, I dropped from 4 to scratch in about 6 months. I thought, righto, I'm going to give this a crack. I'm going to give this a serious crack. And then that's when people would ask me, what are you doing with your golf? And I said, yeah, look, I want to be a professional.
Yep.
So
you're being supported? Did people support your decision, or did you get some?
I guess when you've got a young bloke who's got a bit of ambition to do that stuff, people are supportive of it and they like to follow that journey.
Yeah. What about your parents?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was, I don't have much to do with my father anymore, but when I was at that point, mum did whatever she could to give me a hand.
Yep.
Because it was expensive. I was paying for all the trips away. You're flying around Australia. Entry fees are expensive and accommodation's expensive. So, people help you out and she did what she could, which was very helpful.
A lot of people. So there's a lot of stories, young, people with potential that are kind of, I suppose, encouraged to get a backup plan, like have a backup plan because sport is not forever. But
yeah, yep. And that was spoken to me.
Yeah.
As a possible, security. And I didn't really think much of it.
Yeah.
I thought, this is what I'm doing. I don't want to waste 4 or 5 years at uni. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do other than golf either. So I just sort of stuck with that. I didn't think uni was going to be anything I wanted to be involved in. So having been to uni for that short bracket before I really got started, I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. So where'd you play? What's your local club? Brisbane
Golf Club. I was a member at for 16 years.
Yeah, right.
I've just finished that membership up there. I don't really play that much anymore. So I've joined Ipswich Golf Club, west of Brisbane.
Yeah.
Great little track for what you pay for it. So, again, I don't play that much now as to what I did.
Yeah. So what does it look like? Sorry, were you about to?
I was just about to butt in, sorry.
Yeah.
What was the first comp that you went to when you said, I want to turn or become a professional? Was there like a comp that it was like, this is the first one on that road to becoming a professional?
There's one that I remember, and it was the Queensland Amateur back in 2000, and I think it was 6 or 7. And I was trying to get into the Queensland teams, and I was looking up to the guys in those Queensland teams because that was the sort of path I wanted to follow. You've got your tiers of, at my time was Queensland Colts, which is your 18 to 23, I think it was, 18 to 23-year-olds at that point. Then there's your open side, which were the top guys. And they were the guys I was looking up to, and I wanted to try and get into that space. So Queensland Amateur, I think I shot 68, 72 or something the first couple of rounds, and it was good to be in that mix. That was good for me then.
That was a confidence booster.
Yeah, absolutely. And then bombed out in the last round. Anyway.
What happened there?
I probably just
Golf.
got a little bit. yeah,
Golf
golf.
happened.
A little bit ahead of myself and let my mind take over in the wrong way. And then I, imploded a little bit. So I think I shot 80 that last round, which is pretty bad. But anyway, that was when I thought, okay, I really enjoy getting better and being involved in this sort of arena.
Yeah.
So that was the sort of start for me. And
well, I suppose it was a question we put to you before we started recording today was sort of, golf's such a mental sport in the fact that, you can look ahead and get too far ahead of yourself or be worried about what is coming up. And, like, how do you stay focused shot to shot? Like, what is that something that you progressively learn, or was it something that you went and got taught from someone, or how did you get to that point?
You're supposed to really work hard at it in your practice. So it's clearing your mental space before you hit your shot. You pick your target, you pick, what shot you want to play, trajectory, flight, whether it goes right or left or right. It's there's a whole different, array of thoughts that go through your head, but it's just trying to be really, really present at that time and block out everything. You see the best guys on tour do it so well. Tiger's one of them. Brooks Koepka's another. They're dominating right now. Well, Tiger's come back and he's doing really well. But when he's prime, he was just laser sharp. There's I think I read the other day there was a tournament he played. It was the final round of a major, and he said one thing to his playing partner the whole round. They didn't speak the whole round, and that's for guys who play a lot, that seems unusual. But I guess that's sort of how focused he was to get the job done. So. It's through practice and then realising when you're out playing and you'll do it and you think, I shouldn't have done that. This is what I want to do next time. So just being aware.
Because the ability, like there'd be plenty of people out there that have got huge amounts of ability, but the mental side is sort of what takes you to the next level, would it not be? Or is
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys get to a point where, they're that good, but it's the mental side. It's a very difficult side to master. You can, majority of people who play golf will struggle mentally at some point. It's very, very difficult. But it's all about the pressure you put on yourself and the expectation you have on yourself. It's expectation versus result too. That's a big one.
Yeah.
It's often not like one bad shot as well. It just ruins your mindset.
Yeah. You can just be tinkering on that edge.
Yeah.
And then bang that crack and it's all over. And your good round blows into a bad one very, very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you, I suppose, in that sense, like how did you learn to pull yourself back? Like if you're early into a round and things aren't going well, how do you sort of reset and get back to that point? Is it just trying to be present again and staying in that shot?
Pretty much. It's accepting what's happened. It's going, okay, look, I've started bogey, double bogey, bogey, and you think, right, this is not ideal. I'm not where I want to be right now. But, okay, that's where I'm at. What's ahead? Right, okay, this is what I'm going to do from here. It's just sort of having a bit of a plan in place and just accepting that what has happened.
Yeah.
And trying to move forward.
That's a big thing, isn't it? Like, it's so easy. You can hit a bad shot and just be like, fuck this. It's like...
Can we swear on this?
Yeah, well...
No C-bombs. No C-bombs.
Yeah, right.
But,
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But you're right. You got to just, like, not let your last shot dictate your next shot. Yeah. It's about, like, starting again.
What's the best I can do from here?
Yeah, but you take that process of, like, resetting. Have you got, like a actual mental process, like steps that you go through before each shot? Like I think of like Steve Smith when he bats and he touches his pads
like 34 touches
however many times, and like Rafael Nadal always picks a wedgie out of his ass, like you know what I mean? But it's
he goes over his nose, and he doesn't step on any lines, and it's crazy.
He doesn't.
He's got 13 things. He always got to put his labels and his drink with the hydrolyte or whatever it is on the left hand side, and the water on the right hand side, and they've both got to touch at the same time and be in line parallel with the seat that he's sitting on. And he won't cross. So, when you cross after a set or whatever, he will never cross first. He'll always wait for the other person to cross the net first before he goes. It's crazy.
Attention to detail.
Yeah, well, because we, the Australian Open is on as we are having this conversation. And I, Googled it when the ATP Cup was on the other day. And he's got like 13 or 14 things he does religiously. It's
I wonder what
crazy.
Is it just tennis he does that with, or is he in the kitchen with his missus and goes, "Oh, you better cross that before I go"?
I don't know if he cooks for himself, to be honest. I don't think he.
But it is interesting because even like you're talking about that, setting yourself up, what even through that process, if you stuff one of those setup things up, is that it completely gone then? Or do you have to start
set
again?
up again? Yeah.
Look, that probably comes back to practice. So, of course, you've got your pre-shot routine and you'll be thinking about things, but you get to a level where you really want that practice, all that prior practice to just sort of work out there. You'll think about it, but it should almost become pretty automatic.
Yeah.
You'd think it would have to be, because I think if you put too much emphasis into that process that you undertake before a shot or before, tennis or whatever, then that would almost be enough to put you off anyway. If that little settling process isn't just second nature,
it's walking.
You're probably already unsettled anyway.
Yeah, it's thinking about it, right, that's what I'm doing, and then walk up and just
do it. Yeah.
Not thinking, if you're over the ball and your mind is just going everywhere, good chance you're not going to play.
Just try not to shank it.
Was there stuff like that sort of stuff you were learning in golf? Was that stuff that you were bringing back out into your day-to-day life as well? So like when things were going wrong, were you just sort of, knowing how to reset and put it behind you and go again? Or was it just something you just had in golf? Because it's quite an interesting thing of how you
segue to bring it into life.
Yeah, because it's something that we all should be doing.
Yeah.
When something goes wrong, it's just, learn from it, put it behind you and restart, which you obviously were doing in your golf career. But was that something that you brought out into your day-to-day life?
Looking back, I don't think so. Back when I was playing, no, I don't think so.
Well, golf was your life.
Golf was my life.
By the end of
it all revolved around it. But I don't think I did as much then. But looking back now, I can definitely see how it has helped.
The lessons you've got from golf? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
But also, if you're doing that at golf every day, when you go to golf, you rock up, that's when you switch on. Like you switch on this is what I'm doing. When you go home, it's like switch off. You got to switch off.
You got to switch off at some point, yeah.
So it's probably less of a conscious thing.
Yeah, but I guess looking at it now, golf teaches you so many things in life. I mean, even playing now, I stopped playing. I turned professional and then didn't play that much after that, and then got back into it, and then it's even still having the expectation there when I shouldn't because I'm not practicing. But if you get in a good position at a tournament or something, and then next thing, I lost this event. I say I lost it. Had a pretty good chance to win it, and then I lost it, and just that sinking feeling when you lose it is just, it takes a lot. I had to sort of pull back and just take a few minutes to just go. I took about an hour. But just to gather yourself again, because again, I had the expectation and didn't come off, and then it's really hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah.
That fail, that feeling of failure.
Yeah.
Or just an opportunity missed. Like you're
an
right
opportunity
there.
missed because you want to win it.
And also to go through a golf tournament, like, obviously a few rounds, like there's a lot that has to come together throughout your rounds to come off, in the so it's like, when it's right there. It was there
for the taking. And anyway, that was so that was difficult. That's difficult when that happens, but also, it can give you some fantastic highs, when you hit a good shot, it comes out exactly how you want to hit it. You win an event, it's a great feeling. So it's both ends of the spectrum.
Something Ed doesn't know anything about, that feeling.
Yeah,
getting a good shot.
Flushing
one.
Thanks, Derek. So let's get to, the next part where you were starting to travel overseas, and it was mainly China you were going to play?
I played on the China tour for a year, and that was an interesting experience. Very interesting experience. Yeah, it was. They had a qualifying tour there where 30 internationals got in and 80 nationals got in. So 30 people from outside of China and 80 Chinese got through, which is uncommon these days. Normally it's just an even playing field. I had an event over there, and it was we were flying in, and this huge storm hit, and we had to go and land at another airport. And we sat there for about 4 hours. Flew back in. There was supposed to be a shuttle bus to take us to this course. It's 3.5 hours away, this course. and the shuttle bus wasn't there, so I had to sleep in the airport that night. I ate duck tongues for dinner. It was the only thing I could get. Duck tongues. They were in these little packets, and anyway, they were really spicy. The
spicy duck tongue?
Spicy duck tongue. It was really,
I actually didn't know ducks had tongues. Anyway, different story.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I had to sleep in the airport, and I was hugging all my gear. I was sleeping in, next to this escalator and this wall.
There's no worse feeling, hey.
It was I had all my golf clubs. I had all my clothes and everything. I was, just hugging it, sleeping. And I thought, I set my alarm. I had no Wi-Fi, so I couldn't email them. And I ended up having to get public transport to this golf course, 3.5 hours away. And I did Chinese for 8 years at school, and I could just speak enough that I got away with it. I had this little book that a mate had given me. Anyway, this guy saw me walking. I told these people I was playing Young Jung, I think it's called, and they said, right, look, you can go catch the bus here and then catch the train over here and whatever. Anyway, I've walked out and I started walking to this place, hopped in this bus, got taken to this big bus depot, and this guy, he saw me walking. It started raining, so I've got this big bag of golf clubs and gear and everything. I've got this other bag with all my clothes, and I've got this backpack on. So I'm walking around, it starts raining. This cannot get any worse. I'm thinking, I want to get to this tournament because, you've got to get there to have a practice round and just sort of settle, get your accommodation. And I'd been to Hong Kong for tour school. So just before I went to tour school, sorry. So I knew their currency. This will come back in the story. Anyway, we go to this bus big station, and this guy pulls out this umbrella. He's walking me. He's like, I'm a bus driver. Day off. I'll take you to the bus station. I know where you're going. Anyway, luckily he put me on the right bus, which I was thankful for. But he said, he turned around when he was paying for it because I gave him the money. I didn't know how to say where I was going. And he said, you pay me wrong money, and they want money for your excess baggage. And he pulled out these Hong Kong dollars, like 300 Hong Kong dollars. He's like, you gave me the wrong money. And I just flared up. I was on no sleep. And I was like, I did not give you the wrong money. And I just absolutely barked at him, and he sort of went, anyway. He got me on this bus.
He tried to sting you.
He tried to sting me, yeah. Tried to G me up. And if I had no idea, I would have just given him another $300. Anyway, so I got to this golf course. I got a 9-hole practice round, and then missed the cut by one shot. I was absolutely gutted. It was just this.
How old were you at this stage?
26.
Okay,
26.
So you'd been travelling around for sort of 7 years nationally, and then this is sort of the first main international.
Yeah, it was all national stuff. So a lot in Sydney, a lot in Melbourne. You got a lot of tournaments down that stretch of coast.
So this was sort of your not make or break, but you're like your big. I'm going internationally, and this is a massive step in my career type thing.
Big step. I was working full time at a bottle shop. I was to try and pay for all that, to live here, and then also to save up to do these events. And they said there was going to be one a month. There ended up being about 4.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a letdown. But it's not cheap doing that.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that. People
cheap.
I don't think the common man would have a clue how expensive it is to try and turn professional. Everyone talks about how much money you can win when you're a pro, but it's to actually be able to even get there is the investment.
Top % that make the big dollars.
What was it costing, to do this? Was it
a few thousand to fly over and stay and play and everything? But it was also the lead up, getting coaching, physio and all that kind of stuff.
It's a massive investment
to get yourself to that point. And as we spoke about earlier, I had a chat to my coach, and he told me, it's $50,000 a year just to practice. That was to just practice, and then if you're going to have a go and play and travel, you're going to need 100,000, and that just sort of really sunk in. Yeah. So it was a lot of money, especially when I was out trying to work to make that.
That was before you went to China.
That was after.
That was after. Yeah, right.
A guy I knew said, look, we could possibly give you some money if we talk to some people, and I said I had no idea how much.
Yeah,
I spoke to him, and he told me that.
Yeah,
and I just thought, yeah.
So you weren't sponsored by the stage. You're all doing this off your own back, and
how do you get? How do you get sponsorship? Like, what have you got to? Is it?
A lot of the guys these days who are really good, they go through Golf Queensland and the Golf Australia programs where they get funding. So I think Golf Australia give certain guys up to about 50,000, which is a good little boost. So yeah, I mean, there's other ways. People know people from clubs and stuff like that. It's difficult, but yeah, you've got to be really, really at the top end of amateur golf to get good funding.
So
and a lot of the guys who are in that bracket sort of do pretty well.
Yeah, so obviously you got to have a certain amount of talent to get so far, but then it's funding kind of the rest to be able to get the practice too. So is this a rich kids game or what? Like realistically?
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
It helps a lot. If you've got the freedom to just go out and just play and not have to worry about anything, yeah, it does help. But that also, doesn't build resilience for a lot of people. If they're just getting funded everything, well, they don't have to work as hard. It's always going to be there. I'll be all right. But I think when you have to work, you've got that extra. For me, I had that extra pressure and expectation on myself.
Yeah, how much pressure were you putting yourself under? With like not financially, but as in mentally to succeed through the investment financially. If that makes sense. Like, were you just like I've got to succeed here? Or?
I've got to, yeah. Working long hours in the afternoon and evening to then practice during the day. It was a lot of time investment. And to go to a tournament and not play well, you just felt like you're failing.
What's not play well?
Missing the cut.
Okay.
I mean, making the cut, you're making some kind of money.
Okay.
And if you don't, well, pack your bags and go home. And I see a lot of guys now who I used to play with who are just still out there battling. Not really going anywhere. It's just this rotation of trying to play, make some money, and just continue that rotation.
Yeah,
Probably because it becomes your identity, and that's where I just sort of went, yeah, this is just not what I want to do.
Was that when you were hungry for it?
Mm.
Was it kind of easy to balance the work and the golf because of the goal? Because the goal was in sight.
That was just the process.
Absolutely.
This is what I'm doing.
There was no other option.
This is it. No.
So are you living pretty skint sort of thing? Like, are you kind of on a reasonably tight budget to kind of make this work?
Very much so. Very much so. As I mentioned, you got the coaching. My coach at the time, he was up at Twin Waters up the coast. So driving up and back, and the fuel going up and back, and it's just all those little things. On a casual wage. It all adds up. So it's quite tight. I remember one point I'd been saving up, and then a few things happened. I had $200 in the bank, and I was
how old were you then? When
mid-20s.
Yeah.
Which, when you're trying to be a pro, and things cost a lot, you're on the bones of your ass. You just think.
How did you manage that? How did you get through that period?
I still had a job, which was good, and I was thankful. So I just sort of really tightened the reins with everything. I don't know. You just sort of make it happen. I was lucky. I was living at home, and I wasn't paying rent. That was the big goal. That was a big thing I can be thankful for with Mum. We spoke about how she helped me out. So that was handy, and I just sort of started saving. I'd take any shift I could. That sort of became the priority, just to build that bank up again. So
while you were out doing that, what are your mates doing? What sort of life are you missing out on?
Yeah, a lot of friends were out traveling, going at that young age. Everyone's exploring. They're sort of at uni on holidays, and then they go and travel overseas and do big trips with each other. And watching that and seeing those guys really enjoy themselves and explore a bit was difficult. It definitely weighed on my mind, thinking, what am I missing out on? So that was something that played in the back of my mind as well.
Did you ever stop and think that they're probably thinking, fucking Cam's over playing golf in China, the lucky bastard, and we're back here, doing a degree or an apprenticeship in Australia? And
yeah, look, that could be the stigma with golf. I think it's so glamorous. You see all these guys, but yeah, I guess I remember one conversation where we were out for a birthday party, and I said, look, I can't drink tonight. I've got to play tomorrow morning. I'm going to have to go at 8. And this guy said, man, I wish I had that discipline. I wish I had something that I could work for to have that discipline for. Whereas at the time he, was just having a good night with the boys. But, yeah, that was an interesting time seeing what they were doing to what I was doing, but I was still pretty focused on on
you had a
following
goal,
that
yeah.
goal,
So let's like get back to where like you're in China, you're international event. Run us through how that whole sort of campaign in China went, and like where it got you in the end, where you sort of ended up.
As to where I'm now.
Well, the turning point,
the year in China,
that year in China, yeah.
Well, I was living here. I made the tour school. I got through there, and that was, I thought, okay, I've got something to set myself up for. I've got an event every month. They told me that didn't end up happening because it was just coming on. They just started this tour up, so I was just working towards that. Every year was just, that whole year was just working towards each event. So I'd work, save, travel.
Oh, so you're flying over and back.
Flying over.
Oh,
so you didn't,
I thought you were living over there for the
No.
year.
Just because the events were
So far
yeah,
apart.
but they were far apart. And
Shit.
There was no point living over there.
Okay, so
Setting up everything over there,
So how did you go that year?
not that good for those events. Like I made the cut in one event over there.
Out of
4, I think it was. I
Okay.
played.
Are you thinking you are like not reaching your potential in these events? Like you could do better, or was the quality like of everyone?
Quality
else?
was very good. There's a guy
Yeah.
called Lee Hao Tong who plays in the European Tour. He was leading. He's now on the European Tour. He just played in the President's Cup
Yeah, wow.
this year, just gone. So he was the guy leading on the tour that year. I think he won it that year. So going over there and seeing, I guess in Australia, you're in this little bubble if you haven't played internationally, where you know everyone who's playing the events. You sort of know where you stand there. And then going over there and seeing all these people come from South Korea, Japan, Malaysia, Thailand. You've got all this big hub in that, that Asia area, Southeast Asia area, coming to these events. And then there are guys who are up there like 40 years old and they're, seasoned campaigners. And it's a little bit daunting at the start. You think, whoa, I don't know these people. I don't know where I stand here. So that was a bit daunting as well. But I guess, it comes back to just going through your own processes. This is what I've got to do. This is how I want to do it.
Do you reckon that's that? Do you reckon that unknown? Like you're saying, people on tour in Australia, and you probably think, yeah, I know this cat, I can beat him. This guy stuffed up last week, I can beat that guy too. But when you go with that mindset that you don't know those other players, you kind of start to wig yourself out a little bit because you don't know that much about them.
Yeah, you can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That can be a problem if you weigh a lot on that. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to you. If you believe your golf's good enough, you're fine.
So you were shocked at the quality. Did that kind of
just the scores that they were shooting on some of the courses over there? They were long courses. There was out of bounds and hazards on one side, like lost ball, and then on the other side it was just water. Pretty much on most of the holes, and they were long courses. And then these guys are shooting really good numbers out there, and I thought, yeah, okay. I'm not where I need to be in the game at that time.
Was that early on in that campaign, or?
Yeah, went over there and there was this American dude. I remember speaking to him. He was he's from America. He qualified on the tour. I think he had a Chinese missus at the time. So he had a sort of a base over there. I think he was possibly coaching. I can't remember exactly. But he came over and he shot 8 under one day and came in. He was like, yeah, it was good. It was good. And I just thought, yeah. I don't know how you've just done that, but yeah, I wasn't at that point. And
so
I think that's where
you're over there on your own. What's the mindset? What are you like thinking? What's the go forward from there?
with like
when they're shooting scores, like he's coming in, shot 8 under, and you're just kind of like,
yeah, you don't have a coach on your side going, fuck, don't worry about that,
Yeah,
mate.
you're
Let's
like
just focus on your own game. So they're like, oh, shit.
who's patting you on the back and thinking, mate, you're all right, you pick yourself up, we'll work on this. And,
it is difficult, and that's probably where I thought, okay, this is where I'm at. I feel like I'm giving this most of what I've got, and I'm not really in that bracket of competing where I want to compete with these guys. And that's sort of where I went, wow, this could be this could be pretty tough. And that's sort of where I got to the point where I said, look, step back, have a look at where you're at. Is this really what you want to do? Do you want to put more effort in? And I didn't at that point.
So that was after your fourth comp over there.
Yeah.
You sort of, so did you just, was that something you just, on the plane home, you're just like, fuck this? Or was it when you got home and like, who was the first person you told that you were sort of kicking it? That was it.
I don't remember.
So it wasn't like a big moment. It was just sort of like, you were like, oh, I'm just sort of going to park that now.
It was I kind of got burnt out. I was working so hard around the clock to try and make it, and I just thought I don't have much more to give. I'm sort of at my tether here.
Was there a moment when you realised that, or was it just a gradual thing that just happened?
It was probably when I missed that last cut, when I just thought, yeah, this is not really what I want to do now.
So that self-assessment piece,
Mm.
is that happening? Yeah, I mean, because maybe Ed's looking for a light bulb moment, I think. But
Yeah.
were you kind of
I think it was probably gradual.
gradually
I was looking at it,
like
going to each event and just thinking,
for how
shit.
long? How long was that happening for? Realistically, like
Probably
months,
a good
6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And
And
I was
wait-
just it was just there, and then, go to the next one. And then, that story of getting to that course. And I just thought, this is just, I can't be bothered dealing with this stuff. I'm doing my best to get there. This is happening. I just couldn't be bothered with it. And that's sort of where I just went, nah, look, I think that was just over time, just sort of compounded. Again, those outside, seeing what other people were doing, traveling, having, getting into careers and everything. And I thought, I'm at this age now. I'm at a point where I can either keep going and just kind of daydream, just go around in this circle of trying to get there, or, okay, I've given it a crack. I've scratched the itch. That'll do me. I'm happy with that.
You're content.
Yeah. How old were you then? 26.
27, yeah.
So what's the mindset? What's the process before you've maybe told anyone that you're throwing it in? What goes through your head? Are you like, shit, what's everyone going to think of me? Or are you thinking I've failed at this? Or are you thinking that, like, are you just content with that decision? Are you fearful of what other people are going to say when you tell them that that maybe the dream's over?
Yeah, there is that. Absolutely. You've told everyone you want to be a pro. This is what I want. This is who I am. It's your identity. And then next thing, it's not.
Did you feel like a failure?
At times, but again, I was pretty comfortable with that decision I'd made, and I was comfortable within myself having made it. So, the people I told who were good friends were like, yeah, okay, that's fine, mate. No worries.
It's a massive thing for you to be, be able to be content with yourself and that decision, and not try and have it validated by your peers, I suppose I would say, because it would...
You're making the wrong decision if you do that.
Fucking oath.
And
so many people fucking make decisions based on other people.
Yeah.
And in another life, you don't go and have a crack. You don't do any of that. You don't go to China, and we're sitting here in the same podcast room. You're thinking, oh, geez, I could have...
That's why I wanted to do it.
I could have made it. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
you know that for certain, right? So
Yeah.
now, that's...
So I suppose looking at it, you gave everything you had. So you don't think you could have given more? You think you gave everything you had into that?
Look, and I think that's why I was happy with making that decision, because I felt like I wasn't like, oh, you could have done this, and it wasn't those what ifs.
Yeah.
It was more, look, you gave it a good crack, mate. You worked hard to get to where you were. Wasn't good enough. That's fine.
Fuck, that's a solid and mature way of dealing with that whole situation, because it's 8-9 years of your life, 8 years of your life.
It was a lot of investment.
Fucking massive thing.
A lot of investment.
What do you think? What do you think Bernard Tomic is going to think one day?
Oh,
when
fuck.
You see these guys, you just want to belt them around the chops. You think, what are you doing? But
Again, you can't put yourself in their shoes because, fuck, you got no
there's
idea.
way many other factors
Oh,
for him, or for people
yeah,
in his
he's
situation.
just a product of his own environment. His father's not much of it, but that's a whole other podcast.
that's a whole other
But
podcast.
but I guess the point is, it's not a wasted talent. It's just you've had a fair crack, and no one can ever take that away from you.
Mm,
And it must be satisfying to know that you did have that.
absolutely. I know that I did what I wanted, and I was happy with that decision that
And-
I'd gotten there.
Yeah.
And I hated the game after. That was
Really?
I was burnt out. That's the thing. I think I'd given
Gone probably a bit too far with it, and
it was weighing me down. That's when I went out west and just went, nah, okay.
Well, but
more
even
time off.
even still, like that's like to get to that point, like that's how you know that you've done everything that you can do for it.
so you went. So you came back to Australia, told your mum you're done with that, and then what was the first thing? Because upstairs we were talking about you sort of felt completely isolated and lost with where you were going to go, what you were going to do.
Yeah, and have thought about that a lot. Golf was the only path you thought you were going to take. That was it. I'm a golfer. I'm going to be a golf pro. don't worry about anything else. And then all of a sudden, as I've explained to you guys, it's like you just dropped out in the middle of the ocean and you don't know where to swim. You don't know what's next. Where do I go from here? Who am I going to be? You know, what's the next path? What's the next step?
There's no fucking life manual, is there?
Well, this is you're just whether it's you had a crack at golf or whether you've just come out of a 6 or 7 year relationship, it's your identity. Whatever it is your identity, and it's like start from scratch.
Yeah, I suppose you had those friends you're seeing on the tour. You're not going to see them anymore. You know, it's all that sort of stuff. It would be the same thing as a breakup, really.
There's a lot of people, you don't see anymore. You were traveling with or practicing with, and involved in that environment. And you no longer really see a lot of those guys. So, I don't anyway. Yeah.
How did your trip out west?
I was good.
Happen?
So yeah.
Well, how did that come up?
I met. This
You're from the country, aren't you?
Born and bred in Roma, mate. Running joke for those who know me. I've got a friend I met at a place called Boulia, which is out. It's 3 hours south.
You're not saying it properly.
Boulia.
Yeah. And got introduced to him out there. So Golf Queensland would send a couple of players to go and play these rural events because having guys
sand greens, right?
Sand greens, not the Sand Masters. Yep. Queensland sand greens. So I'd never been introduced to it, and we flew out there. We flew to Mount Isa and we drove down to Boulia, and that was a trip. We rocked up to the golf course, and I didn't know what sand greens were. I'll be honest, I'd been Southeast Queensland hub, all coastal hub, never really been out west, and this is pretty out there. And we rocked up, and they said, "Oh, there's the course," and I'm looking around. Like, there's no grass. I can't see anything. It's just clay pan. I thought, how the fuck do you play golf out here? Anyway, that was the beginning, and absolutely loved it. Had a great trip, met a lot of people, and I've played a lot of them since. So I met this mate of mine, Lefty. He's from Rome. He's got a place out of Roma, and I went out there.
He's obviously right-handed.
He is, yeah. I met him there, and then I had another event next year at Miles, which is about 4.5 hours, depending how fast you drive out west. So I went and met him there again. He said, "Look, if you ever want to come out, see what it's like out here, come out."
So you're still just mucking around with a few little amateur things.
Well, this is 2010 when I met him.
Okay.
So that's where we met. And then I went out to the farm first in August 2012. And did that open my eyes to.
So you contacted him after you'd finished with
So I'd met him through those ways,
Yep.
And then I went out there, and we just sort of did a bit of work out there for a bit, sort of reassess things, had a bit of time away from everything, and that's why I love going out there. You're just away from everything that's going on in the cities.
So you went away, but you were still playing a bit of golf out there, or did you just can the golf? You hated golf.
Clubs got hung up for 15 months. I didn't even want to talk about it. I didn't want to watch it. I was off the game. Just couldn't stand it.
Right.
Clean slate.
I was done with it. So, sort of did a few jobs here and there in between. And I was on the search to find a place that I wanted to be and continue with. And I didn't know at that time. And that was very difficult. You float around, you start questioning yourself and your self-worth, and you think, what am I doing, mate? You're 27. You've got all these friends and family, or, other people who are doing all these other things. They've got their path laid out for them. They've got houses now.
Or so you would think.
That's right.
Or so you would think.
It's all a facade for a lot. Not all. But
it's a natural position to find yourself in when you're searching for that identity. Of course, you're going to look at everyone else around you.
Yeah. You think, fuck, what are they doing?
Yeah.
They've got it together.
Exactly.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why am I the odd one out here,
This is like the biggest trap that people fall into, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
27's still just a baby.
Yeah,
really.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I look back now and still didn't know a lot. So that was part of a few jobs, and then decided to move overseas. We moved to Canada. 13 months, yeah.
Canada, eh?
What'd you do over there?
Yeah. Rip some skids. I going for a ripper, are you, bud? Have you seen that song? Anyway, I wanted, by this point I like golf again, and I like the courses over there, and I just like the natural beauty of the place. Seeing Banff and all these places,
so
Vancouver,
rekindling your romance with the clubs.
Yeah. And I thought, I'll go over there. There's some great courses, around that Jasper, Banff, and
Yeah,
Kananaskis anyway. So I was like, oh, gee, I wouldn't mind working over there. So, and experiencing the cold, that was nothing I'd ever experienced. So I experienced some heat out west, but never experienced cold. And I thought, this is something different. So moved over there for 13 months.
How important do you reckon that was at that time when you,
Crucial.
I guess searching for a bit of identity, trying to find yourself, getting away.
I think getting out of that comfort zone of having that support network around you, going away, I went over by myself to live there. It was huge.
Do you think
so much?
It's how what we were talking about? Yeah, you start looking around at your other mates. What are they doing? Where am I compared to them? And then you go to a whole new place where you don't know anyone. There's no one to compare yourself to. And maybe that's got a big part to play.
Yeah, I guess the scene. Yeah, absolutely. And the scene when you're over there, people who are still traveling often have the same sort of mindset.
Yeah.
And they want to just experience things.
And they don't give a shit.
They don't.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't. They just want to travel and have experiences doing things away from everywhere. And, a lot of them really like traveling. And they don't care that they're mid-30s.
And they're all quite open-minded.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then they open you to new, when you live in the same place, there's a certain, I wouldn't say certain mindset, but there's, a mindset in the city. But you go away and people have other experiences and they talk to you about things differently. And then
there's a whole nother world out there when you get out of your little bubble.
Your bubble.
And your bubble could be, Queensland is its own bubble, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Same as every state, whatever.
Yeah, there's two types of people, really. The people that, just play it safe, which is just, we can just easily keep doing this in my safe spot, or the people that are happy to take risks and go out and adventure and have a go. And it can be anything from joining a sports team where you got no mates playing in it, or it can be, if I can move into Canada for 13 months where you know no one. Like it can,
where you're forced to open up, meet new people.
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
New things you haven't done.
So
did you meet any new friends? Because your buddy not that friendly.
You're not friendly. I can't believe you actually have friends. Can anyone else see that?
That's why you play an individual sport, right?
That's exactly right. No, look, there was a friend who she'd been living in Whistler, and I was with her for the first couple of weeks. She was moving to Nelson, and we travelled to a couple of different places along the way. And the story that was the thing. I was told, just go over there with an open mind and just go with it. Just go with the flow. And the way it worked out to where I got, which was Fernie, was unbelievable, just how it all worked out. I didn't really know that you were supposed to apply for jobs before you went over, so I rocked up, had no job. The season was about to start, the winter season. And I ended up getting in this basement in Fernie, which is 11 hours east of Vancouver. In this guy's basement, he lived on the hill. He'd worked on the hill for ages, so he went and helped me get a job up on the hill. And
what were you doing in his basement?
Well, over there they've got basements.
Yeah, right.
It's not a thing here.
So you were living down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of the houses, like, they'll be single story or double story on top, but a lot of them have a basement as well.
Yeah.
It's just not an Australian thing. So yeah, I lived there, had a good little spot there. $450 a week. A month rent, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're on $11 an hour on 32 hours a week,
fair few hours.
Mate, you do the math.
Yeah, it's Quinn.
Anyone got a calculator?
So I didn't earn $12,000
right.
in the 13 months I was there. That's how
Yeah, right.
It was tough. So I had a great setup. I couldn't ask for anything much more. It's just the way it all worked out. I just went with the flow. Got this spot. Excuse me. Ended up getting a job. It was great. It all worked out.
So it was a massive learning experience for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the decision to come home, was that sort of I've got to go do something now, or is it like, I've seen all this, I've had enough, or what was that?
I'm out of money and I don't want to go through another winter.
Yeah.
Because it's grim.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, we're so lucky here in Australia that we are blessed with such good weather, and you go over there and there's barely any blue skies in 6 months of time. 6 months over that season. So it played on my mind, and being so cold, -30 got to. It was difficult.
So you came back, you started a mature age electrical apprenticeship.
Was that ever on the radar?
No.
Never?
No, didn't even think about it. I'd never really thought that this would be the industry I'm in.
How long have you been into it? Like, how far into it are you now?
3rd year now.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
mature age apprentice.
And you're enjoying it?
Yeah. I started when I was, 30? 30?
Yeah.
31. So, yeah, I mean, it was late. You see a lot of guys now who start it when they're early, but pretty late, but it is what it is.
And it's something you're going to build a career around, is it?
I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I really
Start
like
your own
industry,
business type thing or work for people, not sure.
Who knows? There's a lot to explore in the industry, so I'll just see how it goes and probably get a plan the more I get towards the end of the apprenticeship.
Mature age apprenticeships, they're probably harder to come by, but from my experience, when you have a mature age apprentice,
Surprised.
they want to be there more. You're far better, just prepared for the job. You're more eager to work and learn, I suppose. So
You're older. You're making a decision where you've sort of probably been out and done a few things, and like you, and a
bit more life experience.
And hook in. So I suppose one of the key things that we wanted to talk about in this podcast before we go far too long in time was you being 9 months into a 12-month stint of being off the grog. Run us through how that came about.
This is like a
separate podcast.
Second part of the story, but
we're going to wrap it in. We're going to wrap it all into this.
Well, I think it comes into the mindset, the golfer's mindset, doesn't it?
We might have to. Yeah.
So how did it come about?
Combination of things. Working in the bottle shop, got to see a lot of people at their lowest. Alcoholism running in the family, and just my own experiences and being self-aware of what was going on. Just having a few moments where I just thought, "Wow, what are you doing? What are
What are some of those moments?
Oh, just as we spoke about earlier, like having a game of golf, having a few beers, then turning into a lot more beers, and then driving home full as a goog. You just think, get home, can barely speak, and you just think, what are you doing, mate? You get up the next day, you don't really care at the time, but then you get up the next morning and you really question your actions. And that was one thing. And the big one where I stopped was when I was at a golf tournament in Toowoomba last year. Yeah, that was it for me. It'd just been building up to me for me. I was putting on weight. My mental health was, going downhill because of it, due to a few reasons. Lack of self-respect. I put it down to when I was drinking. It's not like I was addicted, but it was a habit I didn't like that I had.
How much do you think you were drinking every weekend?
Yeah, I'd hit Friday, and a carton of Black Rats, not a carton, a 10-pack. A 10-pack would be something I could get into after a week or over the weekend, and yeah, I hated waking up just feeling sluggish and low, and I just kept questioning why I was doing it. What is this giving me? What is it giving me? How am I benefiting from it? Are you benefiting at all? And I wasn't. And I just think it was a combination of things that got me to the point where I just thought, this is doing me no good. I'm fat. My mental health's down. I just stepped back and really realised that it wasn't.
A big self-reflection.
So I wrote a bit of one of the articles that we put out this month in the TradeMutt Tribune.
That's
get around
right.
it if you haven't. Get around it. The Tribune is around goal setting, but I guess in a relatable way where blokes who are in this target sort of poor mental health bracket can relate to. One of them stories was about a fella. I actually read the story on Blokes Advice, and it was a fella who had earlier this year the title 1 Year No Beer, and it caught my attention. Went on to read it. Starts, he was getting blind all the time. Anytime he drank, it went from 0 to 100 very quickly, which, let's be honest, we've all been there at times, but in this case it was habitual and constant, and destructive behaviour, lost his wife, was losing mates, just was a shit version of himself. And that point where he lost his family was like a turning point. It was like, I've got to change this. And so set the goal, cut out the piss, and he found, as a byproduct of identifying that the alcohol was a problem in his life, all these other awesome things happened in his life that he didn't see coming just by addressing this one issue. He saved enough money to buy a new car because he wasn't drinking. He got fit.
Yeah.
His behaviour improved and he got promoted at work, became a manager, got a pay rise, got his mates back, found better relationships. 100%. Because it sounds like his, alcoholism was, you're hanging around people who enable your behaviour, I suppose.
Big time.
And the final piece of the puzzle was, before Christmas, got his wife and kids back. They asked him back into the family home.
Awesome. awesome.
How's your like sobriety been? And
Best thing I've ever done.
Other byproducts that have come about because of it.
Well, I got to that point at Easter last year, and I just wanted to really get a quantitative analysis of what was going on. So I looked at my bank statements. I went through how much I was spending on it, and it was about 118 a week. I think it was. I was working away, so we'd have a few beers after work.
Fuck me, that's $5,500 a year. Is that right?
Over six.
Where's
Jeez.
that calculator? Here you go.
That's right.
It's over six.
Yeah.
And look, that can be a lot for someone, and that can be nothing to someone. And if it's nothing, well, you're spending a lot on alcohol, which could be put into other areas. So I guess that was something that weighed up. I was 94 kilo. I'd never been 94 kilo. You know, trying to put a pair of golf shorts on. I'm lying on the bed, sucking my gut in, trying to do the clip up, and I couldn't. And I just thought, come on, what are you doing, mate? So, I've lost a lot of weight. My mental health, I'm just finding I'm a lot sharper now. I wake up much more level as to when I was drinking, and you'd wake up and you're just low for a few days. I mean, a lot of people would know you go out, if you have a big night on the Terps, the hangover can last for a few days.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Which, again, is bad for productivity at work. And
You started this campaign with a mate.
I did, Nick. Yeah, he had done it for 6 months, and he said, mate, it was unreal. You should give it a go. This was just at a meeting from another friend, just mutual friends. And I said, well, look, righto, let's do it, and let's make each other accountable. Put $500 on it, and we'll go till January 1, 2020. I thought, right, that's a good crack, because a lot of people just do a month. I just don't think that's enough. I don't think it's enough. If you want to have a decent crack, make it to really see the changes, give yourself 6 months. And so we did that. I think it was seven months at that time. And so I'd sort of just started getting off it. And we did the bet. And look, he copped out after a couple of months. He had a family thing on, and next thing he was having a few beers. But he paid me straight away, paid me the $500. But for me, I wanted to keep going with it, and I've stuck with it. And I don't know. I don't really feel the need to do it.
How have you been in those situations? Because I've thought about giving up the grog. I'll be fucking completely honest. I have thought about it, but then I've thought, holy shit, I just would feel like, am I missing out? You know, like I've had so many great times when I've been out on the grog, and they've been very fond memories of mine. And then
the parts that you can remember.
Yeah, but I mean, as in like some of the best some of the best memories.
That's right.
I've got with mates is being out on the grog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at events and race days and stuff like that. And I probably freak out a bit of the fact that I'm not going to be having as much fun at those events during that period. Is that something that you thought about?
Absolutely. I mean, I'd go out and just crack that first 10. We're on it, and you're just into it. And it's that excitement of, we're going to have a big night here. And I've done it. But for me, it just didn't outweigh the positives of not drinking. And
So,
I think that
yeah,
came down to it.
And you're competitive with yourself, I think, as well. Like once you've gone, so X amount of time.
9 months.
Yeah, which is like, well, shit. I don't want to go back on it now. Like you're probably just going to really see how long you can go for. Like,
yeah. Well, the year's up. 22nd April, my birthday's on the 1st of May. So, I don't know, that'll be a test. I'm going to the Birdsville races this year. That's my goal.
oh god.
Yes, that's what I mean. Those sorts of events. So, at what events have you been through in the last 9 months where you're like, Harley, fuck, I could really do with a drink here because this is
weddings. Going out to the farm. That was the one place, you leave Roma and you crack a 10 and just...
And it's hot now. Like it's bloody
hot,
very
finish
humid at the
work.
moment.
But that's the habit, and I think that's the issue. You finish work on Friday, bang, straight to the bottle shop. Let's go.
How do you feel empowered that you've been able to say no?
Self-control is like a muscle. The more you flex it, the stronger it gets.
Because
and that's what I've found.
Yeah.
Because and that's what I mean. That month is, people go, oh, it's a month. Oh, it's all good. I'll be back on it soon. It's okay.
Were your mates around you just going, fuck, mate, have a beer?
I've been called numerous names for not drinking, but I think it's the opposite. It's not easy, but that also being competitive sort of spurs me on a bit as well. So
what you're talking about, like you've thought about giving up the grog, I mean that's great. Like, but I don't think there's anything. You're not going home every night and sucking tins, and you're not. But like, and there's nothing wrong with going out and having a blowout. Like, in fact,
no, I just want to be able to see if I could test myself
if
and
you
just
could
be
do
like,
it.
fuck, you know, like I couldn't imagine going to the Gundy races and not having a drink.
I think
You know what I mean?
I think people need to blow out. You need to have a blowout.
That's the Sam Gardell. What is it? Method to full cleansing once every 6 months.
But
blowout.
When we're talking about self-assessment and actually reflecting on your existence and how you're talking about your relationship with alcohol was just not making you feel good
At all.
and so that's where you were at. You wouldn't, from what you've described, you weren't an alcoholic. You didn't, have withdrawals if you didn't drink. It was just a habitual thing that wasn't making you feel good.
It was shit that was weighing you down. It didn't need to.
And what makes you feel good or what, impacts your life is completely different to, Ed or myself.
Everyone's different with it. And I think that's where you've got to analyse your relationship with it.
Yeah.
And think, okay, I'm only doing it once a month at an event. Okay, sweet. I can deal with the repercussions of being hungover.
Yeah.
But it's, look, if that works for you. But I'm better off not being on it at all. I just find that works for me. And I've really liked being off it. It was kind of tough at the start when you think, oh, gee, but what if I could have a good time? But, I don't.
How have your mates been with it?
What mates?
Exactly.
Well, I guess in getting off it, I've weighed up my friends and the ones who, as you said, said enable that behaviour. And I've kind of just tried to pull away from that because I don't get a lot out of sitting around a table and drinking beers. I prefer doing things or having more experience with people or having a good chat one-on-one with people. I find I get more out of that than sitting around a table
It's
just
such
drinking.
a key message though, because like people, if you're an alcoholic, you're hanging out at the pub because that's where the other alcoholics hang out, and you. And you enable each other.
Fuck yeah.
You know what
They're
I mean?
saying, yeah, you're doing it, I'm doing it, it's all sweet.
It's
We're all
fine.
doing it.
Yeah.
And people, I think that's why people, press on me their insecurities of,
Absolutely.
"Oh, wait, you're not drinking, you fucking pussy."
Yeah.
Like,
Righto,
okay, mate.
Rog. Fucking calm your tits, mate.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, as you were.
Yeah, but, because I think not drinking makes people feel uncomfortable. You go, "Oh."
Well, it doesn't.
Why
I suppose it
not
doesn't
drinking?
validate them doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
And they're going, holy shit, who's
They've got to
who's
reflect on what
right
they're
here?
doing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's no right or wrong, like you've just pointed out. Like it's just what your individual relationship is with that, and it could be anything.
But people know, everyone knows what they're doing is damaging either for themselves or those around them. Everyone knows it, and it's just whether or not the difference between a good decision and a bad decision. It's just whether or not you have
Denial.
to.
Oh, it was
Denial.
like, but it was
A lot
like
of the
me. It
time.
was like me when I was smoking. Like it was sort of like, I just don't know how I'm going to be able to get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and not have one without a cigarette.
Yeah.
And it was for years. Like I smoked from when I was pretty much, weekends at school up until second year of my apprenticeship, and but it was hard. And same thing. Like there were people at work that were smoking. But then it was sort of like, how do you pull yourself out of the environment? And then eventually it just clicked. And I just said, no, that's it.
Yeah.
But there's blokes that everyone knows it's killing you, but for some reason it just never clicks. Like,
It's I've poison, got
cousin now, he's 60 and that's it.
But a lot of
it's done.
a lot of the times people will just do the month off. Like you're saying, a month off isn't enough, but it can be just enough for someone to prove to themselves that they aren't actually dependent on it. Do you know what I mean?
But they're straight back on it
Straight
away.
back on it, and it's
Yeah, and it's even worse.
Drinking double
Dry
to
July, can't wait for August.
drinking double to make it. Yeah, and I mean, again, you're gonna have to self-assess and kind of try to.
Am I really in control of it?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it was.
That is a key point.
Yeah.
Are
Am
you in
I
control?
really in control?
Genuinely.
And I think that's where if you have 6 months off, you can prove to yourself that you've got control over it.
Yeah.
And that, So, and it's funny, having done it, a lot of people have said, gee, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that.
How did you do it? How did you do it? You mentioned a book that you that sort of got you through it. You didn't read it. It's an audio book. You can't actually read, can you?
Jeez, you're copping it. You're the only guest that's really copped a grilling.
You're probably too blind drunk to be able to read. Just better listen to this one.
At the time. What's it called? Naked
Mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Controlling your life with alcohol. And that gave me a lot of information as to what, how we're so heavily marketed with alcohol.
Oh,
It's just drilled into us. Everything we do is just alcohol. Wedding, alcohol. Death, you got to wake, alcohol. Any celebratory event is just get on it. It's just so ingrained in our society. So that's where it's difficult.
But that's with so many of those things. It's just like, it's really hard to be able to pull yourself out of that environment and that social norm, I suppose. And like you've said, and not get fucking ridiculed by people that don't want to be seen doing the wrong thing. Sort of, I suppose it's a hard one.
And I have this conversation with you, knowing admitting myself personally, I've my relationship with alcohol could be far better than what it currently is, and I know that. I'm probably not driven. And I'm not sitting here pretending that I'm perfect.
I can vouch for that.
Far from it. Do you know what I mean? It's all.
Can we get a timestamp on that?
It's good. 1 hour and 5. We probably should wrap this up anyway. But I guess again, it's self-assessment is the key message here, to understand how it makes you feel. If you're waking up in the morning feeling like shit again, and your relationships are just mediocre, well, there is a better option out there. You can change it, and if you make a small change.
It's not a big change. We think it's massive, but what you get out of it's so much more. I think you build better friendships. You have better conversations with people. People have opened up to me when I've said, I was battling mentally during these times when I was drinking. I was always low, and they then open up to me, and just having that conversation, which is what this whole company's about, is making sure that people can speak about their tough times, and if they've got mental issues and what they're going through. And I've had people open up to me about their issues, and that's really empowering again for me, and that's where it builds strength for me that I'm helping someone, and that's better than drinking.
It's a complex subject, mental health, but some cases are super, super complex, but other cases where people find themselves struggling with depression or anxiety or whatever, there's often a root cause. You know what I mean? And for a lot of people, it might be alcohol. Or there was a conversation we were having with a young fella who was in a bit of trouble over the weekend, and he was far from okay psychologically, but he didn't need a psychologist. He needed legal advice for a situation that he was in that was causing him to feel like that. So often, you can just address that root cause, and all you need is a bit of guidance. It doesn't necessarily mean having to, go and get intense therapy. It's just actually again, self-assessing, self-reflecting, and looking at what it is in my life that's making me feel this way. Yeah.
Well, Cam, it's been a dead set pleasure.
Hasn't been too bad, has it?
It's been pretty good. Sorry about the grilling from old.
That's fine.
I only grill people I like. That's why I never grill you.
Nah, thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow.
See you in the Queensland Sand Grades.
Thanks, mate.
Well, no worries, boys. Cheers.
Good on you, Cam.